Hello, my name is Justin Brown. I'm a faculty member at Penn State University. With me here today is Dr. Adrian Berrigan, who's also a faculty member in the Veterinary and Biomedical Science Department at Penn State, and Dina Johnson, who is a student at Penn State as well. And what we're going to cover today in this video are the external features of white-tailed deer, looking at some of the unique adaptations that allow deer to do and thrive in the environments that they do. If we think about white-tailed deer, this is a species, although they've adapted to a variety of habitats, they really have evolved historically to live in forested environments. And so there are a lot of unique challenges for deer to live and communicate, reproduce, obtain food, and just survive in that habitat. And white-tailed deer have a lot of unique adaptations to help them thrive in that forested environment. They have all the same senses that humans or other mammals do, but some of them are quite unique and quite enhanced. And three of the senses that are quite keen in white-tailed deer are the sense of smell, sense of vision, and hearing as well. And again, these all help them survive in that forested environment. If we look at the sense of smell, there are a variety of excretions or fluids that allow deer to communicate with other deer, and they can communicate again on anything from aggression and dominance to reproduction or other reasons. So some of the excretions that produce some of these scents that allow for communication are urine, feces, respiratory secretions, reproductive fluids, anything like that that can allow a deer to communicate through their scents. One of the other fluids or ways that deer can communicate through scents are through skin glands. Skin glands can be found all throughout the body of the deer, but they are highly concentrated in certain areas, and we call these skin glands. And they can be both sudoriferous as well as sebaceous glands. And these allow the scent to be a vehicle that can be put out in the environment to allow for communication. So if we look at these areas where these scent glands exist, the first one is the forehead gland in white-tailed deer. There is a concentration of skin glands in this area, so if you ever see a deer that's rubbing its forehead on an area, oftentimes they're marking that area with the secretion from the skin glands. There also are skin glands right here in front of the eye, the preorbital gland. If you can see this little pocketed area here, there are a variety and a lot of skin glands in that area here. There's the nasal gland, so a high concentration of these skin glands in that nose area right there inside the nostril. So if you ever see a deer sort of rubbing its face or its nostril on a tree or a branch or a stump, they're often marking that area with that skin gland secretion. We also have skin glands here on the lower limbs. This outer white tuft, if you look on the inside of it and open it up, you can see sort of this little hairless area. That's the metatarsal skin gland. And this is, again, an area of high concentration of those skin glands. And probably one of the most important skin glands that deer have, white-tailed deer especially, is this tuft of hair on the inner part of the leg. This tuft of hair here, we call this the tarsal gland. And there's a variety of skin glands in there. This is also an area where deer can urinate and sort of get their urine on this tuft here. And it's another way to mark the area through this tuft of area over that skin gland. There also are preputial skin glands as well in white-tailed deer, which is another area where they can mark and use that gland. There also are skin glands between the hooves, which we call the interdigitary skin glands. So again, these are ways, along with urine, feces, saliva, that deer can communicate and mark an area to communicate with other deer through smell. But deer also have a way to interpret those smells. So they have a really adept sense of smell. If you look at their muzzle, it's very elongated. It's filled with nasal turbinates that allow them to take in those scents, interpret them, and understand what someone else another deer is trying to communicate. Deer also have, if you look at the top of the mouth, we move this lower jaw, you can see there's a little circular area right here. That is there's a little opening there called a foramen or an incisive foramen, and that is the vomer nasal organ. And that is like a sense of smell where, particularly with non-volatile compounds, deer can sort of bring that into their mouth and it's another form of communication from deer to deer. So oftentimes this involves urine. So if you ever see a buck during the rut sort of flaring its lips, which we call phlegmon response, that is where they're actually bringing the urine that they smell in the environment up to this vomeronasal organ right here. And sort of it's another form of communication along with taste and smell. In addition to scent, another form of communication that's really adept in deer is their sense of vision. If you think about how hard it might be to be in a wooded environment where light might be low, where deer density may be low in some areas and you've got a lot of brush, they need a really keen sense of smell, or a keen sense of sight. Deer have very good vision. If you ever see a deer at night and you sort of see that reflection off of their eyes, they have a membrane on the back of their eye, which we call a tapetum lucidum, and it's actually sort of a fibrous collagenous membrane on the back of their retina. And what that does is when even low amounts of light come into their eye, it reflects that light back and forth over the retina so they can see really well even at very low levels of light. Deer also have sort of external features that allow them to communicate through vision. So if we look at the hair coat of deer, it often has two functions. One, camouflage, so deer can blend in very well into their environment. The hair coat can change with season as well as geographic region to allow them to blend in to whatever their environments are. But they also have a thin muscle underneath their skin called the erector pili that allow them to move their hair coats. So if you ever see a buck in the rut and it fluffs up its hair coat and looks really big and dominant, that is that muscle that's actually allowing those hair to move and communicate to other deer of what's going on. Probably the most classic way to communicate through vision with white-tailed deer, you can even hear from their name. So white-tailed deer, they get that name from this classic white underside of their tail. And if you've ever seen a deer nervous or scared or alert, the first thing they do is they pop that tail up, and it's almost a warning flag to other deer. So if you see them, their head will be up, they'll be looking around, and this tail will be sticking up, really highly visible to other deer in the area, and that's a way to communicate and alert other deer of something that might be going on. So they have a great sense of smell, great vision. They also have really good hearing. And so if you look at deer, they have really well-developed ears, really large pinna, and they can move these pinna or outer part of the ear independently of each other. And so they can move their ears around, they can locate those sounds, and that's a really great way for deer to listen and to hear things that may be going on in the forest that they cannot even see. Moving back to vision, one of the other things that allow deer to work well in the forested environments where vision and sight may be limited is the location of their eyes. So if you look, deer have their eyes located on either side of the skull. And what that does is it gives them a wide range of vision. So because of the placement of their eyes, deer can see in 310 degrees around them, so almost all the way around. And they can move that and expand that to even 360 degrees as they move their head back and forth. So they can really have a wide range of vision all around them, and that allows them to be successful and run if they see anything that is going on of concern. So these are external features of white-tailed deer. Again, these allow deer to have adapted and thrive within a forested environment. In the next video, what we'll do is begin to look at removing the skin and some of the musculature that is under the skin that are unique to white-tailed deer.